Dave Campbell's Texas Football is proud to team up this year with Parker University Sports and Performance Center and the Synapse HPC to honor some game-winning decisions from great players across the state of Texas. And here to talk a little bit about it are some of our friends from Parker University Sports and Performance Center. We're joined by Dr. Davis McAllister. He is a sports performance specialist over there. Dr. McAllister, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Great. We're also joined by Dr. Nikki Kirk. He is a clinical specialist over there at Parker University Sports and Performance Center and Synapse HPC. Dr. Kirk, how are you?
Did very well this morning. Thank you for asking.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us. Dr. McAllister, I want to start with you. Can you tell us a little bit about the Parker University Sports and Performance Center and the Synapse HPC? I feel like people may not necessarily know what all you guys do and the impact you guys have and you know, why you guys wanted to partner with somebody like Dave Campbell's Texas Football.
Okay. So we started off down in Dallas, actually, associated with Parker University, and the clinic started off primarily dealing with neurological disorders and neurological issues. We have a medical director that is a neurologist, and so we have a variety of different aspects that we take with that. And originally started working with veterans that had traumatic brain injury and those types of things, and also physical impairments and stuff like that that comes with their service time. And then we just recently moved up to Frisco. We're up here near the Star at 3211 Internet Boulevard. And we wanted to expand our services out because a lot of the same problems that the veterans are having are also going on in the athletic community, both on the physical side and, you know, impairment side. And part of the reason why we named it the game-winning decision is because it takes that split-second time of cognitive focus, and because of the neurological roots of our clinic, we wanted to kind of honor that. But also kind of going back on my own personal side, I was a high school coach for 12 years. And I coached football, was a strength and conditioning coach, powerlifting, I've coached baseball, track. And this was kind of a way for me to kind of go back. I saw so many kids that put together a lot of effort and went that extra mile and never really got the recognition that I felt like they deserved. And I felt like this was a chance to be able to go back and be able to kind of give back to that and not only recognize teams that have had the, you know, at the last minute been able to pull a game out, but who was the key player that was associated with that, and be able to recognize their focus and their dedication and hard work to be able to pull that out. So.
Yeah, most certainly. It's been such a wonderful partnership with us here at Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Just proud to partner with you folks there. And Dr. Kirk, I want to ask you. You know, we have a lot of listeners who are athletes and a lot of listeners who are fans and parents and stuff like that. I'm interested because I know one of the things you guys focus on so much is injury prevention and rehabilitation. So what kind of safety tips would you give them? You know, in order to make sure that they're able to play the game as safely as possible.
Eric, it's multifactorial. So as with everything we do, one size or one piece of advice is not necessarily going to fit all athletes. But some things that we do know about back pain and prevention of low back pain is there's some predisposing factors that in some sense are out of our control, but we have to take into account. So that may include things like age or biobanding, so the stage of maturation, and if they're in the peak height velocity phase of growth. Gender, body composition, carrying a large fat mass can be problematic, their level of physical fitness, and any specific anatomical considerations that, again, we know may predispose to certain types of injuries. And then finally, also their game skill. Now, when we categorize somebody in any one of those areas, then we move on to what makes an athlete maybe susceptible to injury. So they're human factors. So these are more external type factors. So number of minutes they play, concomitant sports, the number of exposures to game time that they have, those things are going to increase the likelihood of injury. The quality of the protective equipment, the surface which they play on, and the interaction between their feet, their footwear, and the playing surface. Then finally, in the part that maybe we can actually look at as practitioners would be the biomechanics, the kinematics of movement. One of the things that we also understand that may predispose athletes to bouts of low back pain or issues are, when we watch them running, anterior pelvic tilt, faulty what we call backside mechanics when they run, a contralateral pelvic drop, and a forward body sway or lean is what we'd see. And then finally, we want to add in that some of the most obvious factors that got overlooked, particularly in youth athletes, that we are aware are problematic and are controllable, is the quantity of sleep that they receive. There's also a correlation between the amount of hours of video games that individuals play and low back pain, and then the time that they actually go to bed. And then compounding that is sometimes the early morning lifts, which I know sometimes can be necessary because of the nature of people's schedules, but those can also impact the amount of sleep and the quality of rest and recovery that these athletes get. So I would implore people to maybe have a look at some of those factors and see where you can step in and maybe have a positive influence.
Yeah, most certainly. Very interesting. And you've inspired me to go to bed early tonight. He's Dr. Davis McAllister, the sports performance specialist over at Parker University Sports and Performance Center in Synapse HPC, as well as Dr. Nikki Kirk, clinical specialist over there. Guys, appreciate your time. Thanks so much for partnering with Dave Campbell's Texas Football, and we look forward to talking with you guys in the future.
Thank you so much.
That's great. Thank you for having us.
Thanks again to our friends at Parker University for sponsoring our game-winning decision platform here on TexasFootball.com. For more information, go to TexasFootball.com and check out their website at synapsehpc.com. That's SYNAPSE HPC.com.